Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Friday, August 4th, 2017. My name is Rich, and joining me once again this week is Bijan. How you making out?
I'm good, bruh. I just came back from Cabo. I feel refreshed. I feel good. A lot of Mai Tais on that beach, bro. A lot. And everybody, by the time you all listen to this, I'm officially going to be 29 years old. So happy birthday to me. Woo!
Happy birthday. Do not let the birthday celebrations make you forget to upload the episode to the FTP site.
Just had to get there, right, bro?
Had to go there immediately.
Oh, I feel terrible, guys. for everybody, you're wondering like why last week's episode was a little late. Actually, a lot late. That's my bad. That's kind of my bad. I flew off to Cabo without sending the file out to Rich. Very smart, as I know. But shout out to my father. He came by. I walked him through everything of getting that file out to Rich. So at least my dad put that effort in.
Yes, very much appreciated. And I have to take a lot of that blame, too, because we do have multiple methods of recording, and mine happened to fail as well. So, yeah, shame all around.
It's just a hot mess. I mean, every single year, man, the LA Finals, something
Finals
has to go around.
As soon as I saw it was the LA Finals, like, no, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, it's rough. But yeah, I come back from Cabo, moving on to the episode, I come back from Cabo, I'm feeling all refreshed. Literally, I wake up just from a long day in the air, and I turn on American Ninja Warrior, I'm all happy, and guess what I get, Rich? I get the freaking hourglass drop on the damn course. Why is this happening to me? Why are you doing this to me, ANW? Why?
Because the hourglass drop isn't that bad. This version of the hourglass drop, I'm going to defend it a little bit because we've seen this one. This improved version isn't that bad.
It's bad. I hate it so much.
It totally decimated the field again. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something up with it. It's just trampoline skills are just not an appreciated skill, I think, for ninjas. They're seen as like a transition into the obstacle, not as an obstacle themselves.
That's the thing, man. It's like you're not even seeing these competitors fail at these hard things. It's all about that struggle and everything. But it's literally a trampoline transition that's taking everybody out. It's so annoying. It really is, man. Why do they keep doing this to us?
It's an unsatisfying fall. It's not a good way to fail. Watching somebody fail at the elevator climb is epic, right? It's something that you watch that struggle and you can see, it's man or woman versus course. And in this case, it's just person versus water, right? It doesn't really give you that same satisfying feel.
And it's so many people in the field too. And it's one thing if you grab the board and you're shimming and then you fail, but it's just that stupid transition. And I get it, guys. I really get it. It's part of the obstacle, ANW, all this stuff, train for it, blah, blah, blah. It just, something about it just really rubs me the wrong way. It really does. And then you get people like Barclay Stockett, right? And this poor girl is 5 feet tall and has to do almost a 15-foot drop onto the trampoline and then fly up another 15 feet and hold on. Get out of here. Get the heck out of here with that. I'm just over that stupid hourglass drop. I wish I'd never see it again in my life. If I never see it again, it's too damn soon. Bye. Bye, Felicia.
All right.
So over that obstacle.
So, yeah, we're here to talk about the San Antonio Finals.
I hope y'all ready. I'm just getting started, y'all. I'm just getting started. My voice is already gone. And I don't know. My poor throat is going to be done by this episode.
We are also going to cover Crashing the Course, the Spinball Wizard, and the National Ninja League at Ninja Quest. So, taking a look at the course to remind everybody of what was there besides the absolutely horrendous hourglass drop, we had the floating steps, we had TikTok, spinning bridge, the sky hooks, which have been increased in difficulty. It's a little bit longer, a little more difficult.
Those are cool.
Pipe fitter, the warped wall, salmon ladder, hourglass drop, and then Spinball Wizard, a new obstacle, and the elevator climb. So overall, the course, other than that point, what did you think of it?
I thought it was pretty cool. It's not like amazingly good, but it's not bad at all. I mean, I'd give it like a 7, right, Rich? Like, how did you feel about it?
That's a pretty fair score, I think. Yeah, TikTok's okay. I really love skyhooks. I think that's a great obstacle.
That's a good one. Mm-hmm.
I'm not a huge fan of pipe fitter, but I get its point. Spinball wizard, I'm actually not a big fan of it.
You know, when I first saw it, I felt like it was kind of right? Because visually it's whatever. But I was curious to see what happened. And the fact that I saw that they spun independently with these cannonballs and everything. I mean, even though the competitors that got to that point, because the hourglass drop is so cheap, everybody that passed the spinball wizard pretty much, I actually think that is a pretty cool obstacle. I just think it was all based on the level of competitor that actually got to that point, was a little over it. I don't know, man. I feel like if we see it again, we'd see it shine a little bit more. I don't know. I honestly do like the fact that there were parts that spun independently, and I'm curious to see how difficult that would be towards competitors that aren't like next level Nicholas Coleridge and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult. It's visually not very interesting.
No, it's not. And nor is the hourglass drop really, which annoys me. Like, really. Why do they keep bringing that back? But I'm done with that. All right, keep going.
Yeah, so really, they've got a couple, and the pipe fitter, too, I think falls into that same category, where technically it's very difficult, but visually, you just don't really care that much. It's just not fun to watch. So I hate that they kind of grouped all of them into one course. It did make the whole thing, even though it's full of some of our favorite competitors, this episode overall kind of was dragged down by the course a bit.
Yeah, I understand that, and it was a little bit harder by the fact that, for the most part, except that final run, we didn't have anybody that completed the course, but I really can't complain because that elevator climb is so wonderful.
I have zero problem with there being one finisher, as long as we have multiple people attempting the elevator climb, which we had. Mm-hmm. So as far as the number of finishers, I'm actually totally fine with that.
Same here, man. And it's based upon skill when it comes to that too, which I really like. And not just skill, but dedicate, like all that, you know? Like slow clap for whoever made that obstacle, because it's just so cool. I love it.
It is. I was actually wondering if it was broken there for a while because it seemed to be sticking or something. And then I realized that the difference between this episode and the last is the people that were making it to the elevator climb were parkour specialists and not climbers.
Ooh, that's a very good point. I didn't think about that, dude. That's very interesting. Now looking back at it, we have somebody that's coming from a stunt background that transitioned to an obstacle course coach in Brent Stephenson. We have Thomas Stillings, who's still fairly young and has always been doing American Ninja Warrior training. Like, nobody specializes fully in that rock climbing background, right?
Right, not like the Josh Levin and Charlie Andrews and yeah.
Yeah, because Nicholas Coleridge, neither than that. And Daniel Gill, to be fair, he doesn't come from a background either, from what I understand. No, but I don't he was able. I think the difference, though, is that Daniel Gill did use a particular technique that I think works the best for that obstacle.
Yeah, and I think he said he's been practicing it, too, in his interview. So, I mean, we're kind of jumping way to the end of the episode here. Let's actually get into some of these runs. Yeah.
Might as well, right?
Yeah, I think that's what we do. First up in the course,
listeners are like, come on, get on with it already.
We've got Nate Burkhalter took the course, who was transferred to Norway for some oil and gas work.
That training, though.
The outdoor activities they're doing there. I mean, he doesn't have a ninja gym, but oh my God, that is the most beautiful scenery I think I've ever seen on this show.
I know, like, he is living life. Good on that, dude. When they had that, like, first-person shot of him, like, jumping through that canyon into the water.
Oh.
I mean, my stomach went into my throat, first of all, but then I was like, that is so cool. Like, that guy's living life. Props to him, man.
Yeah, he traveled a long way for the qualifiers and did make it into the finals, and I'm glad to see that they did give him some time after he made that long trip. Get featured on the show. He did end up going out on the pipe fitter in qualifiers. So this time he learned his lesson and skipped that last pipe.
Yeah.
So Nate did make it to the hourglass drop like many people in this episode, but wasn't able to hold on to the grab on the first board. So he did manage to touch the board, but couldn't quite catch it.
Yeah, we're going to get used to saying that, huh?
A little bit, although most of them didn't catch the board, to be honest.
Yeah, they just flew forward.
Yeah.
As if there was a cheaply made spring trampoline underneath, and that's what's taking out the field. Okay. Yep.
The vets figure it out, though. You gotta give it credit. So if you can use skill and technique to get past it, it's not completely cheap.
Oh, yeah. I fully agree. It's just annoying.
Yeah, a little bit. All right, so moving on. We've got Sam Ballard, who I think is the first time we've ever had somebody take the course and go, yeah, this guy is not an athlete. I'm like, okay, so why is he on the course exactly?
I think that's pretty common, though, right? I mean, when they say athlete, I think they're talking about somebody with, like, an athletic background, like, that's done all these, like, crazy things. We see all these gymnasts and, like, rock climbers and stuff like that. This seems like just a regular dude, which honestly is at the heart of what Ninja Warrior and, for the most part, Sasuke is about.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. It's just a little strange for them to call it out quite so blatantly. Yeah. So he's on there basically because his father was diagnosed with leukemia, who was given 6 months to a year to live. He went to 6 different gyms on this long, epic road trip to train for the show. And he must have did something right because he made it to the finals. He didn't just go in the qualifier because we had to remind ourselves that this is the finals, right? This was the top guys and girls.
Not just that. I mean, this story was really cool. I was really engrossed with everything that was happening because I guess it was just felt so genuine, right? I mean, you watch this and it is something where your it's his last chance. You know, he said he only has a year to live or something like that, right? And the father you could tell the father's a big fan. And he's like, why don't you try for it? And this guy literally gets off the couch and is like, you know what? I am going to try. And I'm going to give it my all, like literally my all. I'm going to travel around the world, be pretty much homeless, and just like go to all these gyms and like learn from the very best. Not just that, he went out of his way to build like a gym in his backyard or something like that, right, Rich?
Yep.
I mean, that's next level dedication. You go from like literally on the couch to like full-blown 100% commitment, and that's a dichotomy that you genuinely don't see very often. And I give this guy all the respect in the world, and he gave it his all for his father, and that was really inspiring. Honestly, I was really engrossed with this guy.
Yeah, he started going through the course, and I realized he's doing really, really well. And then I clued into the whole fact that it's finals. Of course, he's doing well. You know, a lot of it was guts, so he went like sideways on the sky hooks and still managed to catch the ring. Like he was almost horizontal as he swung it out and caught it. I thought that was great. He did go out on the pipe fitter, so he won't be moving on, but it was a great run.
Yeah, not just that. I'm really happy that his father got to see it. You can see just how genuinely happy his father was, and more importantly, how proud his father was. And that's something that he's going to cherish for the rest of his life, especially with his father. And I'm really happy for him. It's one of those things where when time's limited, you really have to take those risks in life. And he really did it all for his father. And that's something I think his father's really going to appreciate more than probably even we can understand. So I'm really happy for everybody involved.
Yeah. Next to take the course was Abel Gonzalez, who you're picked up mid-run, which is one of my new favorite things they're doing.
It's really cool, right?
Yeah, do this more.
I'm really a fan of this. I genuinely like this. If this is the option or getting skipped completely, I'd really much rather take this. You get to see, you kind of just skip the bull crap in many ways, right?
Yeah, it's cut to the chase. Course, how did Abel do?
I really like this. I'm really glad you caught up on that, dude, because it's really cool.
Yeah, because we don't need it. I mean, when it comes, it's nice for them to get it. I'm not begrudging anyone stories, but we've gotten Abel's story before. We know, generally what's going on. They kind of give some voiceover to remind everybody who he is and what's gone on before. Yeah, that's great. Do more of those guys. If any producers listening right now, we love those. Keep those up.
Yeah, definitely. Big thumbs up.
So he went out early last year, which I had forgotten, actually. But he had made it to stage 3 in 2015, so back in ANW9.
Mm-hmm. He went far. And I'm glad because they even talked about how he gave back to his community and things like that. And that was really cool. A lot of people forget just how much he's done in the ninja community and for his community at home. And He fell, but I think he made it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he made it on to the Vegas finals. So I'm really curious to see how well it do, because I feel like Abel's one of those competitors that does very well at the agility obstacles. I can definitely see him destroying stage 1 in Vegas, and maybe he'll fall. Like he might have trouble in stage 2 or 3. But yeah, he's always a fun guy. He's one of those people that he's always reliable to get past stage 1 in Vegas.
Yeah, he's very able, for sure.
Don't you do that.
I had to. It's required. But he did go into the hourglass drop. His left hand just missed, unfortunately. But yeah, Abel's great. Despite falling early last year, he doesn't have that kind of limit on him, right? We've seen him go to stage 3. He could go as far as he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Next on the chorus, very excited to see Karsten Williams get some love.
Yes. They highlighted him completely. Like, I was shocked they didn't in the first episode, but at least they're giving him love here, man. And like they highlighted just what he's done over the past year. It's really weird. They are acting like Team Ninja Warrior doesn't even exist. I do not know what's up with that. Like, NBC owns both NBC and USA Network. It's not like a network thing. I don't know what's up with that. But you know what? They highlighted his accolades in the salmon ladder contest and everything. And good on this guy. I mean, he's definitely making a huge name for himself.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And he stood out a lot because of the salmon ladder challenge that he won. He was looking great through the first half, but I got to tell you, man, when they're going on with that salmon ladder so much, and then he hit that salmon ladder, I thought, he's going to fall on this salmon ladder. Don't you dare fall on the salmon ladder after all this hype that they've given you. But thankfully he didn't. So he was able to beat the hourglass drop, but he did go out on a spinball wizard, and that's when we kind of learned that they each move differently, they kind of independently, and learned how tough that obstacle is going to be.
Yeah, there's no way I'd ever be able to do that obstacle, so props to everybody that can do it.
So great run by Karsten. So then we had a few fast forwards in a row here. Some names that we may remember from the qualifiers. We had Kevin Klein, who we saw in Team Ninja Warrior. He got fast forward. He went out in the hourglass drop as well.
He was really good in TNW.
Yeah. And Jonathan Parr, who was a standout as well in the qualifiers, was fast forwarded, also in the hourglass. And Katie Haymaker ended up going on the sky hooks. And then our guy took the course, Thomas Stillings.
Yes, let's go, son!
23-year-old, you may have heard of him before. He opened his own gym.
I'm really glad they highlighted this guy in his story. I mean, so much going on in his life, man. It's really cool. Like, when I was hearing about it when he was talking to us, I was like, why aren't they featuring this? Like, this guy's got a lot going on. And I'm really glad he got, like, all the credit he deserves right here. They really took time highlighting everything going on. But not just that. I don't know if you noticed this, right? Well, it's kind of hard not to. He really showed off so much personality. I mean, this guy's just just oozing charisma and genuineness, right? And it's really fun to see. He's really got that type of engrossing personality that's just really friendly to the camera. He's already a star, dude. Already a star.
Yeah, we'll be seeing him for a long time to come, and hopefully seeing him at the top of Mount Madurayama this year. But we did get to see him open up his new gym, which we had heard about when he joined us on our episode earlier this season. And his girlfriend, his fiancée, Zoe, is now his front office manager, which I didn't know that. So
yeah, that was
she
cool.
left her career to join him and pursue that dream. That's really cool.
Yeah, I really wish them the best. They first of all, they seem like the cutest, most adorable couple, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time I see them, I'm like, I am old. They look so young.
How do you think I feel? Really?
Yeah, for real. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But man, I really wish them the best. They seem so genuine and happy, and he's doing really well. And I can really see Thomas Stillings going very far this year. I mean, this guy just seemed at ease with everything until he hit that elevator climb. And you saw how difficult that was for everybody on this course. I mean, it's no joke.
Yeah, absolutely. He flew over the spinning bridge. It was so fun to watch him go over this course. Just so smooth and steady. He skipped the second board and almost cost himself the whole bloody... Well, he still would have had a good enough time, but that was a close call.
That was really scary. He was very close. And I'm like, at that point, man, like, you are playing with fire. But he did it. And you know what? You need those memorable moments, right?
You do. Those add a lot to the show, and they add a lot to the personality of the person running. Those close calls make it remarkable and make you remember it.
Yeah, for real.
And I loved his response. So he was disappointed, obviously, by not being able to complete the elevator climb. But Thomas's first reaction is, I should have practiced my dead hangs more. So he now knows that that's something he's going to work on. He immediately is thinking, what can I do to make sure that the next time that doesn't happen? I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good mentality to have. That's the mentality of a champion in many ways. Like when you can just automatically know what you need to do next and you're not beating yourself up over it, but just being like, all right, I'm gonna get you next time and I know what to do. I mean, that's the right mentality you need to get through sports like these. So yeah, very, very astute by him. I don't know. I have a very good feeling about him. He's really got that agility and everything to at least make it to stage 3. Him and Daniel Gill, they just have that type of that ease with the obstacles that I can see them getting to stage 3 quite easily.
Yeah.
Still, though, he damn near gave me a heart attack on that hourglass drop. I think back to that. Yeah, you guys remember he was hanging on for his dear life. And I'm like, why?
Well, he explained why, though, right? He wanted to conserve energy, and he thought that would be a good way to do it. Was not a good choice, but it did thankfully work out.
Yeah, it was good TV, at least.
As a viewer, I definitely appreciated it. As someone who has him on my ANW fantasy team, not quite as much.
I feel you, bro.
Next to us, Jonathan Horton. Very excited to see him back again. He is incredible, and I'm glad they featured him once again. He was hurt in January 2016. He ended up missing the Olympics. He's a gymnast, for those that don't remember. And he says he feels like himself again now with Ninja. He didn't feel like an athlete for a while, and is kind of like a defining thing to be an Olympian. And now this is his new thing, and it's really cool.
Yeah, not just that. I mean, he's so talented. He gives a different type of... I don't know. He's a smaller type guy, right? But he seems at ease in the air because of his gymnast background. So he gives this really interesting element to the sport that we just don't see in many competitors. And first of all, you see his biceps. I mean, it really looks like he's got a freaking baseball in his arm. It's insane. Yeah. But... yeah, this guy's really talented, and I'm very curious to see him in particular obstacles. Like, imagine this guy on stage 3. I mean, he's going to have a completely different approach than anybody we've seen make it to that kind of stage. So he's one of these athletes I really want to see him on everything. I really want to see him try everything because his approach is going to be very different from most athletes. And yeah, very engrossing run. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's one of the cool things about ninjas that you can have so many different body types, so many different backgrounds, all tackling the same obstacles, the same course, right? In most sports, you have an ideal body type to kind of shoot for. Basketball players tend to have a certain body type. They might be some little variations in there, but not like Ninja, where you have Jonathan Horton standing next to Brandon Mears, and they're both going to go tackle the same course. It's just two very, very different things.
Seriously. Could you imagine? I want to see them both run on Team Ninja Warrior. My brain might explode.
Yeah, I don't even know who do you give the advantage to there? They have these quirks to both their body types that'll lend itself depending on the course, really.
Yeah, it's insane, man. But, yeah, coming up next is also another shorty that kind of made history, right?
Well, we got to finish. We hadn't actually finished talking about Jonathan. We just kind of mentioned him. We didn't say how he did.
Never mind.
He had no issues on the first of the course at all. And I loved when he said, he never gets up on the first try, tells the crowd, he's got personality, too. The guy's great.
Yeah, he's talented, and, I don't know, just the story and everything. He's a star he's already a star.
Yeah, he kind of has cemented himself as one of the ninja stars.
He and not just that, he's one of those people that instantly the crowd at home that aren't diehard ANW fans, I feel like they're going to connect with somebody like him a whole lot more, where they instantly have something that he represented America 2 times in the Olympics. So automatically you're rooting for him. And he's just got a personality where he's already kind. He's had such a hardship where he's kind of an underdog. There's a lot going for this guy.
Yeah, but unfortunately he did move pretty slow through the course, and his legs buckled on the trampoline for the hourglass drop. So unfortunately he did not qualify for Vegas this year, but I'm sure we will see him again.
Yeah. Man, that sucks. I really want to see this guy in Vegas.
Yeah. Just as with many people, it'll be next year.
Speaking of shorties, we've got the one that comes to everybody's mind, man. The ultimate American Ninja Warrior female inspiration, Casey Catanzaro. Screw the haters. She's awesome.
Absolutely. Totally love her. Everybody knows we love Casey. And it's kind of, we had some moments of realism here with her because, she noted how it's really not fun anymore. She hasn't had the success since that initial run that she had back in ANW6. And, 2 years of hate, really, when it comes down to it, that she's gotten. She's considered retiring. And it's funny, they kind of hinted around at it, but didn't outright say she's retiring. I think seems pretty clear she is.
I think this is her last year. They're hinting to it hard. She's got other things going on, and I don't know, man. I mean, after all that hate, she's already gone far, and at this point, her head might not be into it, like we've seen in the past few years with Brent Stephenson. Maybe she's just getting away from it. I'm just not sure. I mean, I don't know her life, right? But from what we've been presented on this show, I think she might be one leg out of this.
Yeah, I think what the key is, she was so inspiring and still is very inspiring to a lot of young girls.
She really is.
She's managed to pass on that torch in some way, though, right? Like, if she leaves the sport now, there are some amazing women taking up that mantle for her, right? We have Jessie Graff.
I think this is the key, is that Jessie Graff last year really started inspiring a lot of girls. In many ways, I think that was the key. That's a passing over the torch. Because Jessie Graff made history as well, being the first woman to complete stage 1 in Vegas. So in many ways, she, like Casey Catanzaro, no longer has that pressure on her. I think that's the key.
And in addition to that, I think it helps having, because Jessie is taller, right? She doesn't kind of represent the shorter competitors who think that maybe they can't make it up the warp wall because they're not of a certain height. We have Barclay Stockett to take that up. So, I mean, between them and Flex Lebrecht and, Michelle Warnke, I mean, we've got so many strong female competitors now that the pressure is off of her and she can safely retire and let them continue on what she started.
Yeah, with that said, I mean, she hasn't officially retired yet.
She
so
hasn't.
This is all like just, we're all guessing at this point. But I will say this, though. Her run, I was 100% engrossed. For me, it was really engrossing, and I just had a lot invested in this run because I really, really want her to do well. Not only for herself, but all the girls she inspires and everything. And in many ways, just to like give a punch back to all the haters online. And she was doing a run that, I mean, not many people could do. She was going through some really tough obstacles. And I don't know. I was really, really engrossed by her run. She keeps surprising me every time.
Yeah, so for those that don't remember, on the sky hooks in the qualifiers, Bijan, you did a really good job of breaking it down of why the shorter competitors were struggling on that one transition because they were almost in like an iron cross formation and trying to swing forward. It just wasn't working for them. So they adjusted. Casey got onto it. She moved to the one ring, steadied her body completely before swinging. And it looked kind of like an odd choice at first, but when you realized why she was doing it, it was brilliant, right? It's one of those things. The best will adapt, and she did. And she beat it, and she was back to the wall for the first time since her history-making runs.
Yeah, it was amazing, and I was just so rooting for her. And she was attempting a warped wall that nobody her height to this point has tried, and she gave it her all. It was really engrossing, just the emotion and everything with the background in it. It was really engrossing for me. It was one of my favorite runs. How'd you feel about it, man?
I loved it. If you could somehow retroactively will someone up a wall, it would have happened because I was so zeroed in on her, especially on the third attempt. I was dying. I was like, come on, please get up that wall. I wanted it so bad for her, but she didn't quite make it, but she got so close. Still a great run in spite of missing that.
I'm going to do something quite controversial here because Casey Catanzaro is tying for Athletically Profound Run of the Night. And yeah, I think she deserves it. She gave it her all that heart, all that will. I loved it. That run was amazing, in my opinion.
It was. Next up, we had a couple of fast forwards, including Tremaine Dortch got fast forward, who surprisingly went out on the hour.
That was surprising.
The last drop. You know, who would have saw that coming?
He does have a bigger body build. I mean, I feel like that particular obstacle really lends itself to being tall and lanky, right? If you're like the size of Casey Kenzo, you're gonna have a tough time.
Yeah. It's whatever. The hourglass drop, not much more to say. Next to take the course was Kenny Niumatalolo, whose baby needed a kidney and got a donor from being seen on American Ninja Warrior. Like, that is crazy.
That's cool. Yeah, that was really cool. I liked that. The whole time I was like, kind of shouting at the TV because they're like, it kept saying Kenny was the reason that his baby has a new kidney. And I'm like, really, you should give a little bit more credit to the person that kind of gave her kidney to that child.
I think they did. I thought
but that's semantics.
I think they gave her a lot of credit.
I feel like they are a little too going in one way. But I really like the fact that we had, once again, I mean, we get callbacks from previous stories. And we're just investing more and more in these people's lives. And I like how we get we kind of like see the next step in what's going on, right? Like the next episode. So I was so happy to see that little girl out of the hospital having a kidney and just on the sidelines now. And yeah, it's gonna be really cool because later on when we see him in later years, we're gonna see his child grow up with him. And I don't know. I think that's going to be a really cool thing because the audience alone is going to have a connection with that girl in many ways.
Yeah, it definitely was. It's funny for a heartwarming story. I laughed unexpectedly. I don't know if everybody else was laughing as much as I was, but as a parent and watching Hazel crying on the sideline, I knew she was fine, and I knew she was just upset because her dad's climbing up on these things and doing weird stuff, and why is he up there and why are there so many lights, and it was very disorienting for her. But they kept trying to play it off, right? They don't normally have kids crying on the sidelines, so they're trying to play it off as, oh, she just wants her dad to get up the warp wall. And I couldn't stop laughing at them trying to play it off. And eventually Matt just caves in and he goes, because the mother hands off Hazel to the woman who had given her the kidney and is like, she gave her a kidney, but can she keep her from crying? I was like, yeah, they just gave up.
That too.
It's just like, all right, the kid's crying. She just wants her dad back. She doesn't know what's going on. She's very confused.
Yeah. I'm glad you caught up on the whole thing where she's not used to all this as a child, too, because most children her age, at least they grew up in an environment where they're outside and other things like this. This girl was in the hospital room for probably half her life. So as in many ways, this is a very new to her, and she's probably not cool with it. So, there's many reasons. She's just not upset for no reason.
Absolutely. So Kenny ended up missing the hourglass drop, and he was a little slow, unfortunately. So I don't believe he's moving to Vegas either.
Yeah, at least we got a continuation of that story, though.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because it's his fourth time in the finals. He actually hasn't been to Vegas since ANW6.
That's surprising.
But he's a strong competitor who he's coming back. We'll see if he can go a little further next year.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, mid-progress, no story, but we did get to see Nicholas Coolidge. I'll take it. I'm not.
I don't even know. It's like I couldn't even stop laughing. I'm like, wow, guys. It's just like, at least they showed his run, man. At this point, I'll take whatever.
Well, you gotta think of like who makes it past the hourglass drop. Not very many people in this episode, right? It took out almost everybody. And the ones that did get past it pretty much universally got full stories, right? Almost to a person.
Except for one.
Except for two. Somebody got fast forwarded that got past the hourglass drop. Did you notice who?
Andrew Lowe's.
Andrew Lowe's.
And I just shook my head.
I couldn't stop laughing.
I was like watching my girlfriend and I'm like, dude, you don't even know. Like, this poor guy right here, he makes it, like, we'll get to it.
We will. We'll go over to that when we get to it. But Nicholas, I was very, very happy to see churning his way through the course. I was a little worried at times, but he was still solid as ever. made it to the elevator climb, and I thought, we're going to have our first finish here. God bless you, Nicholas. Like, let's do it. He couldn't seem to get the rhythm going, though, like they've had in previous weeks, and I don't know what exactly was going on. To me, I almost wanted to blame the obstacle. It seems pretty straightforward, like there couldn't be anything mechanical going wrong there. And if anybody was there, can give me some inside scoop, because I always love when people do that after the fact. Mm-hmm. Let us know.
I seriously don't think it's the obstacle, though. I think it's just this particular obstacle with the invisible ladder. It had more leeway, right? You can like swing right and left, like spread your arms out a little bit. You can like do different forms. With this, it's not the same as the invisible ladder. You have to be very accurate and precise with your movements, because if the way the pegs are made, if you tilt one way or the other, I mean, it's going to get stuck. So you have to seriously go straight up with your movement. And that's why I think Daniel Gill had the perfect form, because rather than using his biceps that we'll see later and other forms, he just had his arms extended, but used his hips and his legs to swing his body one way or the other, and uses basically his shoulders to go in straight upward movements. And I think that's pretty much the main way you're going to get past this type of obstacle. It uses a very particular type of, technique.
Yeah. So unfortunately, Nicholas didn't finish the elevator climb, but was one of the best competitors there, so we will be seeing him in Vegas once again.
Oh, I'm so happy. I mean, I really wasn't worried about this guy. I really, really would not be shocked if he won the show, and he'd be skipped the entire time. That wouldn't shock me. But technically, we have yet to get a full run of Nicholas Coolidge this season, just saying. But, I really see this guy, he just brings something completely different from all the others. His acro yoga, if you ever see this guy on Instagram, I mean, he's doing some stuff that nobody else in the sport is doing.
All right. So moving on, we had some more fast forwards of some hourglass drop fails, including Grant Clinton, one of the more popular ninjas. Before moving on to Barclay Stockett, who got a lot of love this season, really. Last episode and this one. She had a nice segment with her and Casey, and I just knew, like, as soon as they showed her, I'm like, she is going to do well this season, this episode. I know she's going to beat the wall this time. Yeah, and
Barclay Stockett, her story and everything, it really tied in together, her and Casey Catanzaro. And I really like that. If when we talked about passing the torch, this is another situation, and I think you were alluding to this a little bit, Rich, right? Where we have somebody that's pretty much like almost pound for pound the same as Casey Catanzaro. She's like much buffer, but she's the same size in most part, but she's a lot younger and blah blah blah. In many ways, she's like the rising star and taking over that mantle of what Casey Catanzaro represents. And I like that we have the story of her being inspired, and Casey Catanzaro is a reason for her, and Casey Catanzaro mentoring her in many ways, right? And I like the fact that they had this connection. And Barclay Stockett, she's rising star, taking over that role.
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, Casey hasn't announced anything yet, so we'll see. But Barclay is amazing to watch in her own right. Just great through the whole course. Made this similar adjustment on the sky hooks where she had struggled as well.
Yeah.
And she's the shortest person to beat the new wall, the new 14.5 foot.
That was so cool, especially because we saw Casey Catanzaro fail it earlier, and Casey gave it her all. Did you see, like, how Barclay, her fingertips got her up that warped wall? I mean, it was insane the fact that she got up it how she did.
She's amazing. First attempt. Like, didn't even need multiple attempts. Got right up that wall. It was amazing.
Yeah, and those biceps, I mean, this girl lifts.
Yeah, I mean, really, if she's the build Casey would be if she was a weightlifter. Like, this, she is so amazingly strong.
Yeah. I mean, I can see this woman doing very far. If they have an hourglass drop, like, when you saw her dangling over the hourglass drop, I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah, I wasn't sure of the physics behind it, whether, I mean, I'm sure it's terrifying when you're that much higher above it, but yeah, I don't know physically how much of a hindrance that's going to be.
I mean, you can do it, right? The problem is that the wind dynamics and everything, they talk about the swing, with the hourglass drop, and she's going to be having a greater distance falling down. So she has a far better opportunity to spring forward rather than going straight up. Not just that, but that distance dropping is going to have more force on her knees. And you see how people do and when they buckle their knees and everything. So it's doable, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be far, far, far harder for somebody her size.
Makes sense. So unfortunately, she did go out there, and they dogpiled her as she got out of the water. That was great.
That was cool. That was so cool, right? Because in many ways, she's like, it's the point about ANW is it's not just you running. In many ways, people are running there with you. They are living vicariously through you. And you're all in it together, which is the whole point of the sport. And it was just so awesome to see everybody just so happy and genuine for her, dogpiling her, with just sheer enthusiasm. That was really neat.
Yeah, it was a great sign. I mean, they were so excited watching your run. You could feel the enthusiasm from them on the sidelines. Yeah, great run, great ninja. Very happy to see her continue to succeed.
Yes, and congratulations, Barclay Stockett. You are also tied for the Athletically Profound Run of the Night. Well deserved.
Which also should have been, I'll say it now, and I promise not to rant about it later, should have been the Palm Run of the Night to save the finale to be a little bit of a mystery.
Honestly, I don't mind the Palm Wonderful this week, but we can get into that later.
Yeah. So we had a couple of fast forwards at this point, including Josh Salinas, if you remember, the rookie from Iron Sports Gym.
Dude, this guy is good. This guy is a stud. Like, I don't know, man. He came out of nowhere. He was not on my radar in the slightest. But this guy has been very, very impressive.
Right. So of all the rookies we get this season, every year there's some rookies that kind of stand out. I think he is probably the strongest rookie we saw this season, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I mean, this guy just gives that... He's got that swag that we saw from Thomas Stillings and Daniel Gill in previous years. And... It's definitely something I'm going to keep my eye out for in Vegas. I have a feeling he's going to get deep into stage 2 and maybe 3. I don't know. I have this feeling, man.
I take that back. Charlie Andrews would probably qualify a little bit ahead of him, but yeah, definitely high up there as well. And we had a fast forward to some guy named Andrew Lowe's. It doesn't really matter much, I guess.
Yeah, no. Who the heck is that guy?
That guy.
So
beat the hourglass drop.
Why?
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe he beat the hourglass drop and they still did it to him. Unbelievable.
I can so believe it. I can.
Yeah, well.
This poor guy, man. What did he do?
I don't know.
What did Andrew Lowe's and Nicholas Courage do? It's conspiracy, man. I'm gonna one of these days I'm gonna be like Sherlock, dude.
But next up we had Brent Stephenson, who is now training the military and leaving ninja obstacles behind at the bases. That's pretty cool.
Dude, that's cool. That's really, really cool, man. He not only training, but the fact that he's leaving the obstacles. It's one thing to like do it, be like, oh, I'm gonna give back to the community or to our veterans. But it's another thing to like genuinely like leave the obstacles and be like, here, like. I'm going to like go out my way to genuinely help you long term, that you guys can use these and learn from them. The fact that, like, I don't know, he's just in a different place in his life, it seems, where the past few years, it was a lot of mental things happening for both him and Casey, which really was tough to watch. And it looks like he's at this whole new element in his life right now, where he's just so much more happy and not worrying about all that other stuff going on. I'm just so happy for him because he's genuinely one of the nicest people in the world, and he's always just looking like he's having a good time.
Yeah, and he did great on the course. It's looking like a good year for him. He's
back, baby. He is back.
He's back, baby. Yeah, the boards were shifting a lot, but he did beat the hourglass. I was worried with it because it was really, really moving around a lot on him, but he got off of there. Mm-hmm. But he wasn't able to beat the elevator climb either. How'd
you feel about that technique on the elevator climb? I feel like there is no way you're going to get up the whole way up that, like, with that technique. Because this dude's, like, straight up doing, like, a bicep flex, trying to get up there like that. And that's just that's a lot of weight on your triceps and biceps and your forearms. I mean, everything about his technique, I was, like, screaming in pain. I'm like, you've got maybe 10 feet, but there is no way you're doing 30 feet of that thing like that.
Yeah, I count on you to do the bit by bit analysis, to me, I looked at it and went, oh, he does not look like he's having a very easy time in this, and I don't think he's going to make it. Like he said
immediately, I was in pain.
Yeah.
I was in pain for him. I was like, oh no, what are you doing? But that's what happens when you have a whole nother obstacle, like new obstacle. It's all about that adaptability, and you got to try new things. For all I know, maybe he could have gone up it, but it was very clear that was not going to work at all.
Yep, but that left one run for the night. Daniel Gill. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about Daniel. He just makes it look easy. Once again, cruises through the course. Just crazy.
I mean, I'm really happy Daniel Gill was actually able to complete this course, just because at this point it was kind of a low point of the fact that nobody's completed the course. And first of all, I have to say, I wasn't spoiled by the Palm Wonderful. I don't know, I just never noticed that. But as soon as I saw it at the end, I'm like, oh, Rich is going to lose his mind.
Yeah. But I just wish there had been a surprise for me, right? Like, I was really happy. Like, once I realized it hadn't been given out after Brent, I was like, okay, so Daniel makes it. That's cool. We do get a finisher, and let's just watch him do it.
But do you know, though, at that point, man? Because
yeah, 100%.
Because nobody's completed the course, so maybe he lost too. Who knows?
I don't want to. I feel like I'm spoiling it for everyone else. I've already had people comment that me harping on it so much is now making them read into it and guessing. So I don't want to do that for everybody else. But to me, you know what? It was clear Barkley would get it unless there was a finisher. And so when nobody else had finished it, Daniel's last run, like, well, he's the finisher then.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, maybe it's a placement. Maybe they could have had him earlier in the run, but like I can't see an excuse of why you wouldn't give him the Palm Wonderful run of the night for him completing a course that nobody else completed.
Yeah,
at that point, you kind of have to, dude.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not disagreeing with them giving it to him. They just need to always give it at the end of the night. That's all they need to do. I have no problem with who they give it to anytime they've given it out. Just give it at the end of the night. Say, hey, by the way, remember midway through the episode when, Jonathan Horton did this amazing thing? He was our Palm Wonderful. Like, great. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
I would have zero problem with it at all.
Yeah, that would definitely works. And, but, back to the run. I mean, Daniel Gill, he really looked smooth. He really made a lot of the obstacles that a lot of people struggled on look effortless. He definitely seemed at ease. So, this guy has really taken on a certain type of element where he's a lot like when you think of all like the young rookies or the youngins in the sport that are maybe, what do you say, man, like under 25, right? Yeah. I mean, I have to imagine he's at the top of it, even over Josh Levin, Charlie Andrews, who also is somebody that, as you said, Rich, is somebody that we're high up on in terms of rookies, and even Thomas Stillings, even though I love Thomas Stillings, I mean, this guy's really, really shown just how effortless he can make these and his adaptability to these obstacles. And I'm really happy about him because he is so different from all the other competitors, not only visually, but everything about him, right? And it's really neat to see him just be at the top of the forefront of the new like era of ninjas. And yeah, I don't know what else to say, man. This guy's a stud. He's going to go deep into Vegas. He's on my fantasy league, killing it for me. And yeah, I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, Daniel is amazing. He really cemented himself last year by being, in the great company of just him and Drew being the only two to tackle stage 3. But really, we were high up on him on the season before that. So to have him continue that on, there's no missteps, right? He's continuing on and just basically making himself one of the superstars of the show. Like, he just really can't be denied at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So moving on, let's take a look at Crashing the Course, which was the San Antonio course, and it was Spinball Wizard specifically that they looked at. Crashing the Course has been really great this season. They've really kind of tightened it all up. It's very short, very easy to consume, gets right to the heart of the whole thing, and you get to see a little bit more about the obstacle.
Yeah, I liked it. It was, as you said, very, very tight in editing. And this particular episode featured other people, but I really didn't mind because they were inspiring. They're the Wounded Warrior veterans, and I liked that dynamic that they're talking about a cause. They're genuine people that are curious about the sport and everything. So I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, because we had some visitors last season that were taking away from it, but this was not the case. We get to see one of them actually attempt one of the obstacles. They didn't do the spinball wizard. They left that for Alex, who made a valiant effort once again, but once again got wet. Yeah, but check it out. Jesse LeBrec comes by, gives a few tips. I'm not a huge fan of the tips because they're very, very general. They just like, hey, can you say a sentence about the obstacle before we go try it?
No, you didn't like the grab the balls and then swing?
Like, how general. I could give that advice.
Hold on for your dear life.
Whatever you do, don't hit the water.
Yeah, they could be a little bit more detailed. Just a bit.
Yeah, I think they're trying to push through that point a little bit too fast. And you could see her up there. I liked because she was talking to the Wounded Warrior who was about to try the spinning bridge. You could see her up there talking to him before he ran. So she was giving him legit advice. Could we just hear that? Like, that would have been much better.
Yeah, and I like that element of the Wounded Warrior trying an obstacle. That was cool. Because he very much looks like an everyday dude. He was not somebody that, like, that trains for the sport. So I like that. It was fun.
That might actually be the first time. I hear lots of people say all the time that they watch the show and they're like, I could do that. I could do that. I'd never, ever think that. This is the first time I've ever looked at somebody running the course and went, maybe I could do that.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's part of the episode now where, Alex tries an obstacle and fails. It's whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. So moving on, we have the National Ninja League at Ninja Quest. And again, we're not going to run through it in the detail that we used to in previous seasons, of course, because the episodes are very long right now. But I did think it was pretty cool that they're, like, every season, it's the same thing we found. Like, they start building obstacles. They introduce a new obstacle on the show, and it's already hitting National Ninja League. The Wingnut makes an appearance.
Immediately. Like, I see this, and I'm like, when was this filmed? Like, they already have the Wingnuts?
Takes them no time at all.
I guess not, dude.
And I always wonder when we see it at this point, like, the hole punch obstacle that they had, which was very cool too, is that going to show up in Vegas or one of these other courses? Is this one that they've copied already that we haven't seen? Like, they really are so inventive with these obstacles and these courses. They're really worth watching, so you should check them out. We'll link it in the show notes, obviously.
Yeah, I really like this one called the floating cliffhanger. They had these little tiny cliffhanger boards, like, swinging independently, and you have to grab onto them. Just really neat, creative things like that. Yeah,
and they showcase the course again, and they do a little clip of some of the more famous ninjas before showing the top three women, the top three men.
I honestly don't mind that, dude. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, this one, I don't know if they've changed it up from the earlier ones. This one seemed pretty good. I liked this format. I don't know what changed, but it's good. Mm-hmm. So the women, we had in third place Bree Widener, one of the rookies women we've had this season who did really well. She was one from the haunted house, if you remember.
Mm-hmm. And she's just, even in this, I mean, she's looking good. I mean, I don't know, man. She looks very effortless with these things. And once again, she's got showmanship for days. She does. She's just not, like, doing an obstacle. She looks like she's having fun. And, like, just... It's hard to describe until you see it, but she's definitely a showman, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm very, very... I'm a big fan of hers, and I can't wait to see her continue on with ANW. And second place is one of your favorites, and mine, but definitely yours. Rachel Brown was in second.
Yes! Go Rachel!
And in first place, we had Jessica Clayton, a name that we have heard before, but not a whole lot. Nice to see her... take first place.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen her on ANW, but she's definitely made an impact in the regional circuits. Just, I don't know. I can't wait to see Rachel Brown in a few years, like, actually on ANW.
Oh, wow.
Just destroying that course. You want to talk about, like, these Thomas Stillings and people that have been, like, training their whole lives. I mean, Rachel Brown's the next level. She'd be like, I was too in training ANW. It's like...
I beat Flex LeBrec like 6 years ago.
Yeah, for real, right? Like, when Flex LeBrec's just like a legend, she's going to be like, yeah, I beat her. It's known to me.
Yeah. And then for the men, we had some names that I'm actually not so familiar with. In third, Joey DeSocio. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, unfortunately. In second, Tyler Gillette. And first place with Ethan Swanson, the one that I did know. Ethan's great.
Yeah, I mean, overall, really cool to see like people from that area win and getting some notoriety that maybe aren't well known. But I mean, that's how we got up on people like Barclay Stockett and Jesse Flex Lebrecht and other people like that. I mean, there are just names after a while that you're like, I keep hearing this name in the regional circuit. So there's definitely something to that, you know? I think Adam Rail might be the most predominant person that people are hearing from the regional circuit at this point.
Yep. We've got a few other ones that have snuck their way through, but yeah. So listen up for those names, and the more familiar they get, the more you have to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that is it for this episode. Thank you all for joining us. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can reach me as rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes. Give us that love. We very much appreciate it. Get that atomic climbing holds, right, Rich?
Yes.
That code podcast. I'm trying my best.
All right. So thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a great week.
Peace and love, y'all. From now, a 29-year-old Bijan. I'm getting old.